Hello and welcome to Dugout Debrief. I'm your host, Chris DeLuca. This is Boom Broadcasting's one, first, and only baseball-centric podcast, and we are once again back here in the month of May. We're about 44, 45 games into the season, so a decent amount of season is down so far. We're still chugging along. We're talking baseball here. This is going to be mainly a news-based episode. We had a lot of news happen. We had two managerial firings. We had a couple veterans sign minor league deals. And then also we had two legendary ball players get unbanned and kind of a move out of left field, so to speak. So we're going to be talking news here this week. We'll touch a little bit in college baseball. We'll do our power rankings as always, our series of the week and trivia question. And we'll be getting out of here. But with that being said, we'll start with the news here, and we'll start with the biggest news, which is the two managerial dismissals. And Bud Black is out in Colorado. The Colorado Rockies fired their skipper since 2017 after a 7-34 start. And yeah, I mean, not much can be said about this. The 21-0 loss, 13-9 loss, both to San Diego. Just a really, really rough start this year overall for them. They're 7-35 so far. Bud Black went 544 and 691 with the Rockies, 1,193 and 1,404 career between the Colorado Rockies and San Diego Padres. His managerial career stayed in the NL West. He won Manager of the Year in 2010, where he led the Padres to a 90-72 record, featuring guys like former Dodger Adrian Gonzalez, Chase Headley, Clayton Richard, and Angels World Series legend David Eckstein. So quite a while ago. 2010 was quite a while ago, and more the reason I mentioned those players is it really shows how long ago and how long he was there in Colorado, how long he was between those two teams, honestly, because the year he won Manager of the Year, you're featuring guys like Adrian Gonzalez, who are part of the early 2000s Dodger, or mid-early 2000s Dodger teams. David Eckstein, who was a World Series catalyst in 2002, the Angels' famous runs. That's more why I included that. His last successful season was in 2018, which again, quite a while ago, where he led the Rockies to a 91-72 record, a wild card round win against the Cubs. It was headlined by Kyle Freeland, who had his one and only elite year, who's actually still on the team, ironically, which is kind of surprising, because to me, it's kind of crazy to think about the fact that Kyle Freeland was a Cy Young candidate in 2018, finishing fourth, actually, here, according to this. 7.8 WAR, 17-7 year. Quite a turnaround to what he's experiencing this year. 0-6 and a 6.15 ERA. So a lot of changing, obviously, with that team. And many forgot he was still in Colorado, including myself. I kind of forgot that he was there. I saw a lot of TikToks talking about how the Rockies are the most forgotten about team in sports, not just in baseball, but in sports in general. I'd have to argue that the Buffalo Sabres exist. They kind of, at a disadvantage, one, because they're terrible. I think it's like 2010 was their last playoff appearance, something like that. And then also they're in the NHL, which isn't the most popular in the United States sometimes. It's getting better. But by the way, we're in playoff hockey time. Make sure to be checking that out as well. I've been following that pretty much as heavily, actually, as I follow baseball. So make sure to watch some playoff hockey. But anyway, I digress. Overall, his dismissal is not the root of the problem. And, the reel that I released a couple days ago relating to Derek Shelton, who we'll be talking about here in a little bit, kind of has the same problem. Just the Rockies are a more extreme example of this. The fact that the leadership is not invested in the team. They have the 18th ranked farm system. No first round pick has panned out since 2018. And that was Trevor Story, who signed with the Red Sox and really first 2-3 years with Boston was really, really bad. And now finally he's turning around this year. Obviously he was good in Colorado, but Yeah, I mean, just kind of thinking about just looking back at some of their first round picks. We got Tyler Anderson, turned his career around with the Angels and the Dodgers, both LA teams. John Gray has had some really good years with the Texas Rangers. He had some solid years up in Colorado too. But again, just being a pitcher with the Rockies is really hard, which we'll get to that here in a second. Brendan Rodgers was supposed to be him. He was supposed to be the next big thing. But yeah, they let him walk to Houston. I think they gave up on him a little bit too early. And recent picks haven't worked out so far either, even though it's only been a few years. Michael Tolia, Benny Montgomery, Riley Pint, Robert Tyler, Gabriel Hughes are all either in the minor leagues or they're gone. And yeah, I mean, some of these guys are really, new. They drafted Charlie Condon most recently, but I don't even see a strategy, really. That's kind of the issue. The lack of talent is the reason they're bad, not the manager. Obviously, Bud Black was no game changer. He's not going to go, cinematically turn a team like, Art Howe did with the Oakland A's in 2002 and be like, oh, yeah, we're going to go make this team that's projected to lose 101, games and go and break the American League wins record. That, nobody's expecting that out of Bud Black, but their rotation is filled with a bunch of fly ball pitchers. I mean, that's their rotation's filled with a bunch of fly ball pitchers, and their lineup is a bunch of contact guys. It's the opposite of what you would strategize with a team like the Rockies, who play in the Mile High City. You're going to be wanting to go for ground ball pitchers and fly ball hitters more so. I mean, obviously, once your contact, we got guys like Jordan Beck, who's not bad at all. Don't get me wrong. I actually just picked him up in fantasy, but not exactly the type to. He's a contact hitter, not exactly the type to hit it out of the park all the time. That's kind of one of your advantages if you're a team that plays half your games in the highest by elevation city in professional sports. So again, I don't see any changes anytime soon. I don't think they're going to necessarily get better. I think these crazy off-the-wall blowouts are going to continue, and they're at a disadvantage too because not only do they lack a lot of talent, they're also in a division that is really freaking good. I mean, you have teams like the Dodgers, the Padres, and the Giants all shuffling, contending. I mean, and Diamondbacks too, don't forget. Every single team in front of them is contending for at least a wild card, if not the division, and then they're just there. And I think that's my major issue with the Rockies is that every single team in that division, in theory, could win the World Series because any team, once you make the playoffs, I've said this before, any team, once you're in the playoffs in Major League Baseball, can make the World Series and win it. Every single team in the NL West, except the Colorado Rockies, could make the playoffs. It would not surprise me. If you said it could win the division, even if I slept from now until the end of September, early first week of October, and then someone said, hey, Chris, the Giants won the NL West. I mean, I would be like, wow, that's a little bit shocking, but it's not completely out of left field. I mean, they have a solid pitching rotation. They have a few up-and-coming players like Jung Ho Lee, Mike Yastrzemski, etc. Said the same thing about the Diamondbacks. Said the same. I mean, Padres said the same thing about Dodgers. Again, not going to be shocked. The Rockies, I would be very shocked if you told me that before the season started, and now especially. So overall, I don't see a lot of changes happening. Bud Black, I think, will probably go and find some front office role somewhere. I mean, he's a very good baseball mind. He's experienced. I think he got hired 07 is when San Diego hired him. I think it's because I think it was 07 to 8 to 17, then 17 to 25. So he almost spent 10 years with one team, 10 years with the other, almost exactly, if he would have made another 2 years, which who knows. But wish the best of luck to Bud Black. The Colorado Rockies, the fan base that's there, I wish them the best of luck. But the general management, you need to get your head out of the sand. They need a total 360 to make this work. Am I an MLB GM? Absolutely not. Can I just snap my fingers and say what I think should happen? No. I mean, all I can say is the common denominator is not drafting well and not signing free agents. Go for your low risk, high reward guys. do your best to just do your best. Look at what the A's are doing. The A's are the most dysfunctional ownership-wise franchise, yet they are still coming up with guys like Lawrence Butler, Tyler Soderstrom, Brent Rooker, Jacob Wilson, who he's my shout out of the week too, just how great he's been. He went like 4 for 5 with 2 home runs against the Dodgers and the 11-1 domination that they did of the A's did of the Dodgers on Tuesday night. But still, I can't say anything positive about the Rockies, and fan base deserves better. Again, like I've mentioned so many times before, the other teams are doing pretty good in their city. The Broncos made the playoffs. Nobody expected that. The Avalanche recently won a Stanley Cup, and the Denver Nuggets recently won a NBA final. So can't say much, but we'll move on to the other managerial dismissal here, and that is Derek Shelton. He is out in Pittsburgh, 12-36 in 2025. 306 and 440 over his 4 and some years with the Pittsburgh Pirates. And again, not the problem. Bob Nutting is not investing in the team. I did a reel about this. That's where a lot of my points are, but I'll just continue to elaborate on this. You got guys like Brian Reynolds, Brian Hayes, and you got Paul Skeens, arguably the best pitcher in baseball, continuing to dominate, continuing to make his Cy Young case. And yeah, not much else can be said. There's no investment. You go for guys like Tommy Pham, and there's all these great free agents you could have gone for. You could have gone for a guy like Nick Pivetta to complement Paul Skeens. Again, a guy you wouldn't have needed to pay a lot. Didn't go for that. And just there's really just no investment, no effort. You have a great ballpark. You have a great young core. You got O'Neal Cruz, too, you can't forget about. And again, there's just zero effort made by the front office. Do I think Derek Shelton was the reason why they're bad or why they're lacking success? Because he's losing the locker room? No, absolutely not. He clearly wasn't losing the locker room. He was not the problem. And I know a lot of people came at me for saying that when I made that reel. A lot of Pirates fans are coming at me, and a lot of Pirates fans are celebrating this. But I think he was obviously some aspect of the problem. But at the end of the year, you're probably still going to finish with the same loss rate that you're at. So I digress. I already went on about that in my reel, which make sure to check out on Boom Broadcasting socials. It's on TikTok, it's on Instagram, it's on YouTube Shorts. Make sure to follow all that too. Like I said, we are a great up-and-coming sports media and media in general outlet, and I want to thank you guys for tuning into this. So we have some other pretty big news, another ramble I could go on and on. I already have before, but I will to a shorter extent this fine afternoon. So Tuesday evening, we got the news that Shoeless Joe Jackson and Pete Rose were taken off the ineligible list. So they're eligible to be in the Hall of Fame. And wow. Wow, indeed. Not what I was expecting to come out on a random Tuesday night. I was expecting them to, announce this. I was expecting them to announce this during a very prominent time, whether if it was around opening day next year or whether if it was in the playoffs this year, so it would kind of be covered up by all the other action. Because I think Major League Baseball is very conflicted. So back in October, when Pete Rose did pass away, and I talked about his conflicting legacy on Dugout Debrief, which you can go back and see that take. I talked about that Pete Rose, as his punishment, he was going to be put in the Hall of Fame after he was deceased. And exactly what I said is going to happen. He is either this coming year or next year, he's going to be put in, because if he's off the restricted list, then he's going to go in. He is Charlie Hustle. He is the hit king. He did the stats. The stats will speak for themselves. MVP, Rookie of the Year, 17-time All-Star, 2-time Gold Glove Award winner, 4,256 hits, 303 average, 79.6 WAR, and he also won that World Series MVP, 2-time batting title. He's the all-time leader in games, at bats, plate appearances, obviously hits, which is a big deal. In some capacity, he was either an all-star, rookie of the year, every year outside of 1 year from 1963 all the way until 1982. His longevity said a lot. 24 years in the big leagues. Just a crazy career that he did have, a crazy good career, a career that you will never see again by any means ever, because of one, how good pitchers are, and two, you don't see that focus on average anymore. But I digress. I feel like I'm saying that a lot. I digress. I don't know why. Yeah, his punishment was he was going to be put in after he passed. And, Rob Manfred has gone on and said that he didn't want him to be influential. I mean, obviously, we don't know if he gambled on his own team. We don't know if he gambled on his own team as a manager, gambled against them. That says a lot, because it's one thing, again, there's 8 other guys in a baseball field. So if you're betting against your own team when you're playing, especially as a fielder, pitcher is a little bit easier. You can cheat, but as a fielder, you can it's kind of hard. Like, you go 0 for 4, 0 for 5. Teammates could go 5 for 5, balance that out. As a manager, you can just be like, oh yeah, I like this matchup, but I'm just not going to go put this pitcher in. It's a lot easier to tank your team as a manager than you would think. So his gambling was what it was. And I don't think the social acceptance of gambling makes this okay. Obviously, we can't go more than 2 seconds without seeing an ad for the betting places that I'm not even going to mention, because I don't want to give them free advertisement. They get enough. I mean, heck, one of them bought an entire broadcast group, so you get to see that every single second. And then the number one sports broadcaster out there has their own service. So obviously the views of it on it have changed. I think that this says a lot about where we're going. And I think that, again, he probably would have gotten in under other circumstances if he didn't gamble. I mean, quite obviously, he did have character concerns, but clearly the Hall of Fame didn't care much about that. That's kind of why I'm conflicted on this, because, yeah, you have guys who are notoriously not the best people in the Hall of Fame, like Babe Ruth, Ty Cobb, were not good people. I mean, times were times, whatever you want to say, but they were not good people back then or today. But they're in the Hall of Fame. They're viewed as some of the best ever. Pete Rose notoriously charged people for autographs and wouldn't talk to fans, wouldn't talk to the kids, wouldn't sign stuff, was kind of not a great guy. That was notorious. There's a lot of other people in the Hall of Fame that weren't good guys. The only thing is, there's a big difference here. So I completely believe that Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, and Jose Canseco should not be in the Hall of Fame, because if you let one of them in, you have to let all the guys who use steroids in, even though we already have, because David Ortiz is in. I like David Ortiz. Good player, great Boston figure, obviously, whatever. But here's the issue. You let one of them in, you have to let all of them in. So now with Pete Rose, what he did was against the rules when he did it in the 70s, in the 80s, in the 90s. Gambling while you're a player, now still against the rules. That is a thing. Steroid use in the 90s was not restricted. It was not tested for. There was no rule about it. So we're not letting any of the steroid era guys in who essentially saved the game by being good. Home run race between Bonds and McGwire, etc. You have this comprehensive list of all these players who used and were really good and brought attention, brought money, marketing to the game. You got Pete Rose, who brought some attention to the game, brought some marketing to the game, but really the media wasn't the same. He wasn't this home run hitter. He wasn't this action-packed player. He was in his own way, but just not the way that McGwire, Sosa, Bonds were. So where is the difference here? What is the difference here? Because you're unbanning a guy who did something that is against the rules at the time when he did it, but you're keeping people who did something that was morally wrong, but not legally wrong. I mean, so yeah, or legally by the sport laws, not by the actual laws of the United States of America. By the laws of the United States of America, what they did was against the law. But by the sport, no. Yeah, for the third time or so today, I say I digress. You make that opinion of what you will. That's my opinion. I've had a lot of people, a lot of the boom guys, been asking me. Jason asked me. Cody asked me. And I needed some time to kind of think about it because I had a feeling this was going to happen. I kind of had an opinion ready, but I needed to have a night or so to sleep on it and actually think about it. So we'll go and move on to Shoeless Joe Jackson really quickly. We'll talk about him. His stats don't lie. Again, Hall of Famer by his time span. He had a 356 batting average career, 792 RBIs, 62.2 WAR. For his time, early 1900s, I think he played from 1901 to 1920, something like that or 1907, 1920, something like that. The South Carolina native was a guy. He was a dude, to say the least. There were a lot of questions about how involved he was in the scandal, about how much he knew about it. This was a long time ago. This was 1919. There's a movie called 8 Men Out. I think it's a great movie. I recommend watching it if you're a baseball fan. Kind of boring by some people's eyes, but I like it personally. I don't think he should have been banned in the first place because, again, there's questions about it. I don't want to get into that because that's a whole other moral thing. And I already went on about Pete Rose. So, yeah, Shoeless Joe Jackson shouldn't have been banned in the first place. I think he should have been in with all the other guys of the, hundred and some years ago baseball. So, because by the stands, he's a Hall of Famer. So I think that he should have been in regardless. I think it's a lot less of an argument than Pete Rose. So moving on from that complex subject, again, I want to thank you for tuning into that and staying into that. And if you have any opinions, put them in the comments, please do, because this is a really complex subject. So we're going to go move on to some unfortunate news here. Trying to keep this, I guess, in the middle of the segment. Oswaldo Cabrera suffers a gruesome ankle injury in Seattle a couple nights ago. He was trying to avoid a tag at home plate, and he suffered quite a dramatic fracture that you really don't see very much in baseball. That's kind of an injury you will see in football. It's not something you really see in baseball. So when I saw that, I was like, it's terrible. So he's flying back to New York to see a specialist, and I can't see him returning back this year. They called up DJ LeMahieu from Scranton Wilkes-Barre, who is up there playing in Seattle. The Yankees are wrapping up a series with those Mariners, and they will be coming back to the East Coast. We'll be talking about those Yankees here in a couple moments. So we hope Oswaldo Cabrera has a speedy recovery after that really, really nasty injury. So moving on to some more lighthearted news. Rich Hill, remember him? He's back. Rich Hill signs a minor league deal with the Kansas City Royals. The 45-year-old has played for the Red Sox, Dodgers, Guardians, Cubs, Pirates, Rays, Orioles, Yankees, A's, Mets, Padres, Twins, and Angels. I totally didn't have that written down in front of me. But yeah, so I would love him to make the major leagues for Aaron Schneider's Kansas City Royals simply because he can make it number 14. He would tie Edwin Jackson for the most teams, and he would pass the late Octavio Dotel. Rest in peace to him. He tragically passed away last month in April. But yeah, just kind of a crazy how long he stayed. I remember him taking that perfect game into the ninth and then gave up a walk-off home run. I think he's like the only guy to ever, one of not the only guys to take a perfect game into the ninth inning and lose it, because they were tied 0-0 throughout the entire game. He had a perfect game into the ninth, and they gave up a walk-off home run because they were on the road. I think that actually was against the Rockies too, but if I'm wrong, refresh me. I believe it was. I remember watching that game live though. Back when he was on the Dodgers. Another minor league contract here. Anthony DeSclafani finally gets signed. I can't believe this guy was still a free agent. I mean, yeah, he had a 4.88 ERA for the Giants last year, but he's a major part of that 2021 run, 13-7, 3.17 ERA. He's got a great breaking ball. I think that guy should have been leased in someone's bullpen. I don't know why the Dodgers didn't go for him. A missed opportunity. But Yankees got him. Good move by New York. So moving on to college baseball, we're just doing our quick check-in. We'll be doing a little bit more coverage here of that as we move into the conference, later into the conference season. We're almost done. We got one or two series left here. The new top five is LSU, number 1, Florida State, number 2, Texas at number 3, UNC at number 4, much to Michael Davis's dismay, and then Oregon rounding out number 5. And we have 40-10 WVU sitting at number 16 right now. And they're looking to host a regional. They're looking to finally win that Big 12. And this is one of our last years really to do it, where guys like Grant Hussey are still there. Obviously, J.J. Weatherholt, Landon Wallace are all playing in the minor leagues right now. We're excited to see them make the major leagues. Aiden Major as well. So many great players, and WVU has been really, really good. 40-10 this year. And, we're finally getting the attention we deserve. We just need to finish it out. I would love to see Morgantown host a regional, super regional, us go to Omaha and win the College World Series, finally rep that Big 12. Is that likely? World Series part, maybe not, but I like our chances to host a regional. Just hopefully it doesn't get ripped from our grasp like it did last year, right in the last series of the year when Texas had to do their final little move to us before leaving to their SEC. But for the 4th or 5th time today, I digress. That's the word of the day, digress. So with that being said, series of the week. We actually got 2 of them, and we have one of the most anticipated Subway series probably ever. Juan Soto makes his return to the Bronx this year. This year it's in New York. The interleague happens once a year. And both, it's early, but, both of them have 3-something leads in their division. So this could say a lot. I mean, this is going to be a potential World Series preview. Obviously, New York really, really banged up, but they're still staying really, really good. So the Mets started a little bit slow, but their offense is finally starting to pick up. Obviously, Juan Soto, slow start for Juan Soto because, he's being focused on now because he is the catalyst of that Mets lineup as opposed to sharing a lineup with Aaron Judge when he was with the Yankees. He's the one they're pitching around now. So he's walking a lot more, but Juan Soto never had a problem walking. One of the best eyes in the game. So I will be watching that Subway series this weekend. We also have a less talked about but still prominent series to me that will be occurring next week. I believe it starts on this coming Monday. The Tigers go to St. Louis to play against St. Louis Cardinals, 2 very hot teams. The Cardinals had that 7-some game winning streak going for a while. And the Tigers are trying to keep their lead over Cleveland in the Central. The Cardinals are trying to keep their second place chances against the Chicago Cubs. They're trying to pass the Cubs. Obviously I had the Cardinals in last. They're so far exceeding expectations, but still early in the year. Who knows? I still think they're going to finish last or second to last in that division, but what are you going to do? But yeah, so the Subway series, Mets at Yankees and Tigers at Cardinals are my series to watch. Book it, watch it. With that being said, we have our power rankings, our trivia, and we're getting out of here right around half an hour. Number 5, we have the New York Mets, just battling for first place in the NL East, followed by another NL East team, the Philadelphia Phillies, another team finally picking it up. We got the New York Yankees, who had an interesting series with the Seattle Mariners. Obviously, they're the other part of the Subway series. Number 2, we got the red hot Detroit Tigers. Then number 1, we got a team that just a couple days ago suffered an 11-1 loss, but they're still remaining great. Ohtani, Freeman, Betts all staying healthy so far. We're knocking on the imaginary wood on the wall for that to stall them to stay healthy. They're our number 1 spot. So, yep. Mets, Phillies, Yankees, Tigers, and Dodgers are our top 5. Again, shout out to Cody from Drew Code Sports Talk for those power rankings, posting those graphics, all that good stuff. So, trivia question. Last week, what 2 cities did the Braves previously play in? So it was Boston. They were the Boston Braves. And then if you ever watched the old show Laverne and Shirley, you might know the Milwaukee Braves. They always had the hat with the M on it. So those are the two cities the Braves used to play in. And this week's trivia question is pretty simple, pretty straightforward. What college did Justin Verlander attend? It's not exactly a baseball powerhouse, but produced Justin Verlander, who there's a whole debate about if he's going to make that 300 win club. I don't personally think he will. I think he's at 362 right now, something like that. And especially with how he struggled this year, I don't even know if he's going to be able to be playing next year. But it really would be cool because he's probably one of the last players who's going to be able to get to 300 wins simply with how hard pitchers are throwing nowadays, and how short careers are pitching compared to players of his generation and previously. That being said, this has been Dugout Debrief. I want to once again thank you for tuning in. Make sure to like, subscribe to Boom Broadcasting. Make sure to watch some other great programs on here. Hoops and Helmets with Aaron and Carson is great. We got Out of Pocket with Michael Davis. We got Quick Hits with Shannon. And we got Three from Deep with Jason talking the NBA. So we got a baseball-centric show here. Once again, want to thank you for tuning in. Have a great week, and I'll see you next week.